The elevator stopped on the 27th floor. Little Sue was dizzy when it stopped. This is a sign that the body has not recovered. Little Sue looked at herself in the elevator mirror, and her body was a little loose. Before Little Sue went out, she spent 2 hours carefully grooming herself, and even Xiamo was used for the color match. Little Sue tried her best to make herself full of flexibility, and everywhere in her gestures could be seen a grassy breath. But her gaze was sluggish, unable to tighten, and seemed soft and weak, taking a casual rest wherever she went. Little Sue's bag was stuffed with the evening newspaper from the day before yesterday. Her self-confidence actually ran away when she walked into the lobby on the ground floor. Little Sue straightened her chest, feeling not enough. The elevator took Little Sue to the 27th floor. The carpet was beige, and there were pretty girls coming and going. Little Sue guessed that they were all enemies who came to see the job with her. Little Sue walked to the right in the aisle on the 27th floor to the end, turned at the corner, and saw the room number on the evening paper ad at a glance. Little Sue looked at this row of gold 4-digit numbers, and her chest beat. Little Sue knocked on the door, and a beautiful waitress greeted. The young lady said, "Apply?" Little Sue nodded. The young lady stretched out her left hand to the sofa by the wall. Her smile and gestures were all etiquette, like printed type, neat and elegant, with a little authority. Little Sue glanced out of the window before taking her seat. The city is under her feet. When a city is overlooked, it shows more and more urban temperament. This temperament makes everyone close to it feel lonely. Boss Wang sat behind a big sauce-colored desk, looked under 40 years old, with a calm and proud face. His hair and white sleeves leave a deep impression on Little Sue, and he is a man with meticulous attention to detail. This kind of exquisiteness is not a temporary modification. It can be seen that it is a daily state. Little Sue firmly believes that if she goes 2 steps further, she will smell man's perfume. Little Sue answered more than a dozen questions. They were all expected questions. Little Sue's unrecovered body was slowly getting tired at this critical juncture, and she couldn't hold it. Her eyes were as pale as twilight. Little Sue noticed that Boss Wang no longer asked her anything, but just looked at her. He played with a black ballpoint pen, and later said, "You're not suitable for this job." There was no expression on his face. Little Sue didn't turn around immediately. Her mind was just empty, just sad and unaccepted. If letting her rest for another 4 or 5 days, Little Sue could definitely get the job. But Little Sue didn't say this. She put her disappointment and hope in her eyes and be pale towards Boss Wang with the twilight. "I am off work between 5:30 and 6:30 every day," Boss Wang said slowly. "I really hope that when I go home, my home will be like a home. I have always wanted to have part-time labor, just 1 hour. I have a higher education, CET 6, and can be proficient in—" "You've already said this. It's just a matter of price." "Do you have a wife and kid?" "You should say spouse and child." "Do you have a spouse and child?" "Yes." Boss Wang's bedroom is quite large, the kind that has been touched up at a high price, has a luxurious but simple situation. It is the living style of a single man. There are a few extra large leather sofas in the living room, and black covers the light and shade distribution of the blinds. The room was extremely clean and empty, with no signs of cooking. There is no need to clean up a house like this for 100 years. Little Sue asked, very nervously, "What do I spend an hour here for?" Boss Wang sat with his back. "You can read the evening newspaper." Little Sue said, "You said you have a spouse and child." Boss Wang was standing in front of the blinds with an indifferent expression. He fiddled with a leaf in his hand, looking at the sky outside. Boss Wang said, "I've been married 3 times." Little Sue looked at Boss Wang very worriedly. His eyebrows were very thin, slim, and soft. This discovery benefited from the evening light outside the window. In Little Sue's impression, the eyebrows usually belong to that kind of man, lonely, suspicious, melancholy, and full of unclearness. "What the hell do you want me to do?" Little Sue said. Boss Wang didn't speak. He sat on the sofa, covered his face with both hands, leaving only his forehead and 2 eyes. Boss Wang said, "I only want you to be here." Boss Wang wiped his face and said slowly, "I hope there will be someone in this family when I go home every day. I can pay you at the advertised price." This is a good price. Little Sue did not have the courage to refuse this price. "Am I safe?" Little Sue asked. Boss Wang looked at Little Sue weakly, and for a long time he said, "I am the first doctor of your department after the Cultural Revolution." Little Sue laughed tightly and said happily, "Are we old alumni?" Boss Wang said without expression, "I am just your boss." Little Sue climbed up to the 2nd floor, and there was a train drove towards her. Little Sue held the wall with one hand, gasping hard. Little Sue looked at the train, and at a certain moment she had an illusion again. Little Sue felt that it was not herself who stood here and breathed, but Juan. She herself was coming back from the station after selling meat buns with a big belly. Life is interesting. You move around all the days, and the essential part often chooses a certain illusion to depict the true state of life. Little Sue is actually and really Juan. There are a million kinds of girls, but there has always been only one woman. When Little Sue walked in, Xiaomo turned around to research her carefully. Xiaomo walked to Little Sue, hugged her, and let her breasts touch his chest. Xiaomo asked her with his eyes, "Did you get it?" Little Sue nodded. Xiaomo continued to ask with his eyes, "Really?" Little Sue spoke, and Little Sue put her chin on Xiaomo's shoulder and said, "I'll go to work tomorrow." Xiaomo picked up Little Sue and turned around at the spot. Xiaomo said loudly, "I said long ago that this world will belong to females in the future. If women go, the world can say no." Little Sue was dizzy by Xiaomo's turning and sat down on the bed. Xiaomo said, "What do they want you to do?" Little Sue didn't speak immediately, but put her hand in front of her forehead. Little Sue said, "Isn't it all said in the ad? Drafting documents and communicating letters." Little Sue made a typing gesture, smiled, and said, "I will be a writer at least in 1 year." Xiaomo lay on the bed. 2 arms were spread wide like a dragonfly. Xiaomo sighed and said, "If you couldn't find a job anymore, I was ready to be a prostitute." Little Sue scolded him with her eyes and said, What is the difficulty to find a job these days? It's just not easy to meet my own liking. Xiamo touched little Sue's buttocks and asked, What about you? Does this job suit you? Little Sue said, Why not suit me? I'll be a white-collar beauty in 2 years. Xiamo said lazily, I will be a great painter in the next 2 years. White-collar beauty is a fart. Let's celebrate. I'll buy saltwater duck. Little Belle squeezed in through the door, showing only a face. There is a kind of blank loneliness on Little Belle's face, which is unfitted by some unexpected sudden event. Little Sue was half laying on the bed, beckoning weakly. Little Belle walked to Little Sue with a lot of questions in her heart. She wanted to talk, but only moved her lips twice and was quiet. Little Sue's hand touched Little Belle's cheek, knowing her thoughts. Little Sue said, I will teach you to speak, okay? Little Belle looked at Little Sue's lips, and they moved disorderly and meaninglessly. Little Sue took Little Belle's hand, pressed it on her abdomen, and said, Speak, okay? Little Sue stretched out his chin, biting the beginning and ending firmly, and said with a gesture, You? Good. Little Belle looked at Little Sue expressionlessly, seemingly not interested in these 2 words. Little Sue said, Then we say goodbye? Little Sue opened her mouth wide and said loudly, Goodbye. The squirming of Little Belle's lips showed her desire to speak. Her mouth was wide open, but there was no sound. Little Sue touched her throat and motioned for her to relax. Little Belle looked around and yelled twice like a puppy. Such screams made Little Sue sad and desperate, but Little Sue praised her with a smile and applauded her. Little Belle's hand kept pressing on Little Sue's abdomen, and her palm felt the breath of Little Sue speaking words. She yelled twice. Her pronunciation was at least rhythmically correct. Little Sue washed her hands and tightened the tip of Little Belle's tongue with her fingers. Little Sue said, Goodbye. Little Belle's pronunciation can't express anything, but the rhythm and tone have a rough idea. She can't pronounce that sound well. She can only know the meaning of that sound. It is goodbye. To justify the lie, Little Sue had to stretch her work as a secretary for 4 hours. In other words, Little Sue had to go to work at 1:30 in the afternoon every day. Even so, there are still loopholes in the issue of time. The loophole has become a hidden danger in future life. Little Sue tasted the power of a lie. She has to endure 4 hours a day with 4 hours. One's life needs lies. Lies naturally constitute the essence of life. After Little Sue shopped 2 streets, she felt tired again when she thought of the lies that she could not finish making up in the future. Little Sue didn't dare to shop. It would be some making up nonsense in case she runs into someone. She had a good time, but fell into a thief accidentally. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Little Sue opened the door of Boss Wang's house. The key to the office is beautiful. The texture is hard and cold, stainless steel. Little Sue doesn't like stainless steel. The touch of stainless steel fills the world with medical properties. Little Sue inserted the stainless steel key into the keyhole and turned it slightly. This rotation evoked the worst moment deep in Little Sue's heart. The rotation of stainless steel in the depth left little Sue with eternal horror. The room was dark and cold. The luxurious bedroom opened up an indifferent space to little Sue. When she pushed the door, little Sue thought of Boss Wang. This cold and arrogant space is obviously more cold and arrogant than its owner. Little Sue looked around. No matter how, there shouldn't be without a TV and a telephone in such a home. Dr. Wang shouldn't keep his life away from TV and telephone. Little Sue sat on the sofa alone, unable to think what to do. There was a big empty space in little Sue's mind, as if she had had a dream. This dream was chilled by the air conditioner together, like in the basement, wandering ghostly. No trace. Little Sue recalled the surgery at such a moment. It is the same now as it was then, with a vacant piece. But it's not the uterus, it's somewhere else. Little Sue hopes that Boss Wang will come back soon. In this empty afternoon, Little Sue's only hope was that he could come back soon. This kind of hope made Little Sue unable to face herself. A bad feeling enveloped Little Sue. What the hell is going on? Little Sue cursed in her heart. Where the hell is this?